Hello, and welcome to our continuing series of Better Business interviews. Better businesses are those that are driven by purpose to use business as a force for good, for positive change, for people and planet. Throughout this series, we are chatting with key people in these organisations and finding out why they do what they do. So this week I've been joined by Valerie Wood-Gaiger MBE from Learn with Grandma. Now, Learn with Grandma International is a not-for-profit organisation essentially made up of a network of Facebook pages. Working out of her home in the beautiful Brecon Beacons in Wales, which is in the UK, Learn with Grandma has groups in 43 countries, as my reckoning, including, and in no particular order, Kenya, Somalia, Zambia, India, Uganda, Australia, the USA, Latvia, Austria, South Africa, Spain, Malawi, Sudan, Bangladesh, Albania, the Democratic Republic of Congo, Pakistan, Palestine, Gambia, and Cameroon. I'm sure I could go. I think I only hit about 20 of them, and that's to start with. So Val is our oldest ever guest on the show and a woman on a mission. Patron of Kawa Uganda, a face of Woha, a goodwill ambassador and an ambassador for peace. Val says growing older is a privilege. Growing up is an option. Don't take the option. It's much more fun. You can see why Val is a little different from our normal guest and very welcome on our show. Welcome, Val.
Hi, nice to meet you properly.
So I like to ask an elephant in the room question to kick off, and the elephant in the room question is one I probably shouldn't ask, but how old are you and why are you happy not to grow up?
Well, I will be 80 on the 4th of July. I'm a very independent person. I have to be with a birthday like that. Growing up, as I said, is an option. You don't have to grow old in your brain. You can keep your brain and your body active. I must admit, I don't walk up the mountain as much as I used to. I don't have time, but also I'm slower up hills nowadays. So I'm accepting getting older physically, but I will never, ever, ever give in.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost a bit cruel, isn't it? Your body starts to restrict what your brain wants you to do. But I mean, that is the nature of being older, I guess. Now, you obviously, you told me before we had a previous chat that there was a particular experience that kind of stopped you, brought you out of retirement as such. Which when you ended up in hospital, could you just tell us what sparked your Learn with Grandma phase?
I'd actually started working on intergenerational learning before I went into hospital.
Okay.
I was doing after I retired the first time, I was doing European projects, which I loved. I had brilliant fun, traveled all over the place, met lots of lovely people, did really good projects, all of which failed when the funding came to an end. And I decided, before I had the heart operation, I decided that I was going to only concentrate on doing things that were sustainable, achievable, affordable, and sustainable. And as I mentioned, I had to go into hospital. I had a triple bypass followed by a cardiac arrest. I didn't know what a cardiac arrest was. I didn't know I was leaving the building permanently. I came back into my body to tell the nurses off because I was in high dependency and they were making such a row. They can't put instruments on you when you've had open heart surgery. All they can do is shout, call you. And I was having this lovely away thing. And I was very comfortable and very happy. And they were making all this noise. And I came back and said, whatever are you taking so much row for with all these sick people about? What do you want? And they said, we want you. I'm actually quite glad.
Yes.
I've had a lot of fun since 2013.
And so, I mean, that's, but you mentioned about the European and the, and the sustainability of funded activity. So that then sparked the next stage, the non-European funded type stuff.
Yes. Well, I was invited to speak at eLearning Tanzania, eLearning Africa when it was in Tanzania in 2012. So before I started to get real chest pains, I went to sub-Saharan Africa for the first time in my life.
Mm.
And at this, I met a young man from Uganda, a teacher who and at the teacher's reception, you don't know what to say to strangers. So I've got a kind of stock thing that I say to people, which is, what is your dream? What do you want to do? And it gets people talking. And he said, I want to teach teachers all over Uganda how to use the internet. And I said, I'll show you the way, which he kind of interpreted, I think, as being that I was a rich white lady who could afford to buy him a car, take him out of his job, give him a salary, pay him for him to go all over Uganda. Like, duh, I am not Mrs. Bill Gates, believe me. I live in a little cottage in the Brecon Beacons. But no, what I suggested was that he had a workshop in his school. He was an IT teacher in the school. And his head said yes. And he said, will they come? And I said, well, not if you don't invite them. So he sent out loads and loads of invitations to this workshop. He had room for 100 people, but 200 people wanted to come. So he had to run 2 workshops. Quick as a flash, as it happened, well, I'm not bragging here, but I spoke in a committee room in the House of Lords. At this meeting in the House of Lords, I met a Ugandan minister and got her email, and I wrote to her and said that that's what this teacher was doing.
Yes.
She told Education. Education sent some observers who took him out of the school and gave him a contract to teach teachers all over Uganda how to use the internet, which I think was wonderful.
Lovely.
I came back from Uganda. I was there for 2 months. They looked after me so well. I really wasn't strong enough to go. It took me months to get over that heart operation. And the doctor actually said, are you sure about going to Africa, Val? I said, I will be on that plane. And I was on the plane a year to the day after dying. So anyway, when I came back, I'd seen how they use technology.
Yeah.
Now, I live in the Brecon Beacons and I do have a mobile phone, but I don't have signal. So I'm not very good with the mobile phone. They use their phones in ways that I had never imagined.
Okay.
They're very inventive. I was impressed enormously with the quality, the education that they were getting. Anyway, I decided to just start floating my ideas on Facebook to see what happened, like throwing a pebble in the pond. I didn't know what was going to happen. What I didn't expect was that people in 50 countries now, all over the world, wanted to start a Learn with Grandma group. I am still gobsmacked and in awe of what has happened. So that's how it all began.
Yeah. So you had this. What was your background? What did you retire from originally?
Well, the last job I had was running a charity for disabled people, marketing the goods that disabled people made, and then it was rather an unpleasant retirement, to be honest. But when that closed down, because at that time, we're talking over 20 years ago, things were changing. The lottery was coming on, donations were going down to small charities, etc., etc. And I'd been in marketing before. I like selling things, and what I do now is sell ideas.
Yeah. Okay. And so you had no background as a teacher. Why learn with Grandma?
Well, one of the things I did when I retired the first time was I wrote some educational books.
Okay.
They didn't make any money, But at the back of the book, I had a section called Learn with Grandma, where I took things from the story that could be interactive. I actually got an award for innovation in education for this book, because it was quite revolutionary to have a book with questions like that, activities like that, and also an audio CD. It was a bit ahead of its time, really.
Yeah,
Now into eBooks, by the way, but we'll come on to that in a minute.
we will. Yes.
Anyway, so I already had Learn with Grandma set up as a not-for-profit for the educational books.
Okay. And so you just sprung off the back of that. And so you were a natural in Facebook from the day you began then, was it? You just kind of burst onto the scene?
No. What happened was a bit weird. I saw on the internet that the WI were having a competition on for the what did they call it? W icon. They wanted a W icon.
Okay.
And I thought I could do that, but I'd seen it at the very last day, so I quickly whizzed it in, and then my friend phoned the office and said, Val's sending this in. They said, oh, we haven't had any other people wanting to go in for it, so they just sent it up without even looking at it. And what I did was I wrote my life as a WI member, which I make cakes, I do gardening, I do all of those things, and write educational books and go to international conferences, the kind of things that ordinary WI ladies do. And I and I got in the top 10, and then I had to do a film, and get votes. I live in the middle of nowhere, and I thought, how on earth am I going to get votes? And my son did a group mailing, and on his mailing list and mine, and my grandson put it on Facebook. And I thought, Facebook, that's just a stupid thing for kids. Oh, no, it isn't. Facebook, if you use it as a communication tool, is a superb communication tool. It can reach people that you would never be able to reach in any other way, all around the globe. It is a wonderful tool. Of course, an awful lot of people use it, to just post photographs of themselves.
And what they're eating. Although I have done that myself, I can't deny that.
Actually, I had a supermarket egg and an egg from Chris up the road, and one was bright orange and the other was pale yellow. So I just did it to show that buying fresh local eggs not only look better, they taste better.
They do taste better. I definitely go for that. And you and I live in beautiful parts of the country. When you say you're in the middle of nowhere, for those people who don't know the Brecon Beacons, what do you mean by the middle of nowhere? Can you see your neighbour? Hey, you got builders, workmen in. That's nice.
Well, they're doing something. I should have waited till they left. Yeah, that's my view.
You literally are. You'll open your window and yell outside that your neighbours wouldn't hear you.
Well, they would, because I live in a terrace.
Oh,
it's a terrace of 3 cottages, that's all. But and I can show you the other window if you like. Hang on.
Oh, we're off on a journey during this. So for those who are listening on the podcast, then perhaps you need to go have a look at YouTube if you want to see out. So we're in this lovely little Brecon Beacons looking across the country.
Yeah,
lovely.
So that's where I live.
So you are and it is a lovely part of the world. I'll let you get settled back down, probably waving your laptop around. There we go. I like that.
I do things differently.
I haven't had a tour before. Quite like that. I'll have to start making that a regular feature. So, I mean, just on the intergenerational thing, I saw you were, your awards are numerous, but 2019 Grandparent of the Year, I see that at the time, 3 children, 7 grandchildren, 7 great-grandchildren. Is that still there?
That's still the final total.
That's still the final total. So do you think we undervalue the role of grandparents or the older generation?
I think a lot of people do. And it comes back to something we were talking about earlier. Um, you see, I was 50 when Sir Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web.
Yes.
I I didn't think it had any relevance to me, and I hardly used it. It was my son Neil who said, "Mum, you're going to have email," and I said, "Why? I don't need it." And he said, "It's free, and the letters get there like that."
Yeah.
That is handy. And then and look at the price of a stamp nowadays. Plus, I mean, when my brother went to live in what was then Rhodesia, a letter took 6 to 7 weeks to arrive. Now we can have conversations like this
Yes.
around the world. I mean, really,
At no
I
charge. Yeah.
don't understand technology. I don't care that I don't understand it. I don't understand how a car works either, but I drive. I couldn't live here without a car.
No.
We don't need the trouble with experts with technologies. They want to tell you how it works. I'm not interested in how it works. I just want to know, what do I press next? You know?
Yeah, small pieces of learning, but you don't need to know the ins and outs. That's fair enough. So I want to go back a little bit. I introduced you obviously as Valerie Wood-Gaiger MBE. Why did you get an MBE, and what was the experience like? I'm really intrigued.
Well, I actually got the MBE for working with disabled people. I got it in
Okay.
2000, so I've had it for quite a long time now. The experience of going to London, well, of course, I used to live in London, so it wasn't a big problem. But to go inside Buckingham Palace and to see a Canaletto on the wall and think, that's original. That is not a copy.
No.
To see all of that so beautiful. In a way, I was slightly disappointed that it wasn't the Queen, but I have met her on another 2 occasions actually, and Princess Margaret. And because when you're in charity work, you very often do meet people,
Yes.
but they don't remember. We do, but they don't. Anyway, I sorry, I lost my thread now.
That's right. You at the palace.
Oh yes.
Um,
But it was Prince Charles that gave me the MBE, and this was long before he came to live in my village.
oh, does he? Is he?
Yes,
Isn't that
one
funny?
of
Because he's got a house in ours as well.
yes, well, there is the Duchy of Cornwall,
Of
and
course. I
yes,
have to tug the forelock when I do that. Yeah.
yes, he bought a property about a mile away. We haven't seen him, of course, since lockdown.
No.
But he generally comes down and goes to church, and I have met him to speak to in church. But oh, actually, it was funny when we had a tea party in the village hall, the old village hall, which has now been demolished, and we've got a lovely new one. But anyway, he said, John introduced me, and he said, "You know, Mrs. Wood-Gaiger, you met her in Buckingham Palace when you gave her the MBE." And he said, "Why aren't you wearing it?" And I thought, oh my giddy aunt, I never thought. I put it on now if I know he's around, if I'm gardening.
Told off by the Prince by the Prince of Wales in Wales.
Yeah,
That's really quite a slap. That is.
yeah. I
I love
I
it.
never thought to put it on.
Okay, well, I love the idea of being told off by the Prince of Wales. That's great. So I'd like to bring you forward to your current activities, which seem to be honest, during my research, I struggled to figure out where I could stop with what's going on. A few of the things that I read about is I see that you've got last year it was Women of Heart Award.
Yes.
I've never heard of the Women of Heart Award. So you got the Big Hearted Lifetime Achievement of 2020 as well. So,
Want to see it?
oh well, if you got it nearby,
Yeah.
again we're getting video treats here, people. So if you're listening to a podcast, you need to probably turn yourself to YouTube and have a look at the Green Elephant site there whilst whilst Val disappears off to try and find her WOHA big-hearted Lifetime Achievement Award of 2020. Ooh.
It's not on display because nobody comes into this room, but can you see that?
Yeah, I can. And what is WOHA? Tell us about it, because I think you remember the foundation.
It means Woman of Heart, and basically it's ladies who go the extra mile, as far as I can gather, in various different fields of life, in trying to create employment, in working in voluntary organizations, you know, that sort of thing. And in fact, that's a Lifetime Achievement one.
Yes.
Big-hearted Lifetime Achievement Award 2020. And I think there's another thing coming up with them. They do seem to quite like me.
Yeah, I see you were nominated or a finalist in the Face of WOHA this year. So yeah, let's intrigued. I think the current holder of the Face of WOHA is also from Wales. So obviously you're breeding them up there.
Really? Who's the one then?
Yeah. I'll let you go work that one out.
Yeah.
So some of the other things that I read about, what can you tell us about? Is it Moses Wamanga?
Moses was the teacher that I met in Tanzania.
Oh, that's him. Okay.
That's
so he started a new venture,
he has gone the extra mile, believe me. He's very clued up on technology, which impressively so. And I have to backtrack slightly. I was in Paris to speak at UNESCO, invited to speak at UNESCO.
I didn't think you could force your way in, to be fair.
Well, no, I think you can apply, but anyway, I didn't. What happened was I was in Paris to speak at another conference, and I've been thinking about various different ways that older people and younger people connect, where each have skills they can bring to the table, and the skills can be complementary. Like, for example, in creating an ebook, older people can write, they can take photos, they can do research, they can do all those non-technical things, and then the young people can film it and they can create the actual book. And I was walking along the street and I thought UNESCO would like this because it ticks a lot of boxes: education, integration, community integration, and also preservation of history and culture.
Okay.
If they chose that kind of story. And I just stopped dead in the street and said, UNESCO would like this. And this lady walking by said, oh, but you are there. UNESCO is 10 minutes. So I walked into the UNESCO.
Good French accent.
Yeah. I walked into the UNESCO building and this receptionist said, who have you come to see? And I said, someone in IT, in the education department. You don't have an appointment? No. So she sat me by a telephone and the phone rang and the man upstairs said, can I help you? And I said, well, this is what I want to do. Told him, gave him a quick flash of the idea. And he said, actually, that does sound interesting. Will you send me an email? And I said, well, yes, of course I can send you an email. But the thing is, I'm downstairs and I live in Wales. So he said, come on up then. So I got to meet the head of IT for education in UNESCO.
And so you did force your way in.
Well, you did have to get through all the security.
You did, yeah, but well done.
But then I was invited to speak in UNESCO, and I gave this little talk about creating ebooks. But at that time, we're talking about 5 years ago. At that time, the cost of creating an ebook was high. Here in Wales, I was being quoted 2,000 a book and things like that. And I wanted something that was free. And I knew it was possible, but I didn't know how it was possible. Just logic told me that everything you wanted to do was doable on the internet. So there had to be a way to do it. and Moses sorted it out. Moses has now not only created the system of doing it, he's written an easy to read guide on how to do it, how to get the stories created and online at zero cost. I'm
Okay.
impressed.
So and therefore helping others to achieve your own goals, your same achievements. That's brilliant.
Well, I didn't achieve anything out of doing it. All I do, my mission in life is to plant ideas, to give people ideas of things that they can do to improve their lives, their communities, their education,
Yeah.
themselves, you know.
That's brilliant. I mean, hopefully people will be inspired with the fact that they can make that kind of difference. I
Oh,
mean,
it's happening.
yeah.
It's happening. Another amazing little story. In Uganda, I met a teacher, and he was a bit scary. He was a big man, and
Mhm.
he looked like that.
Big friend.
I was quaking in my shoes as I called him my lion. I said to him, "You're my lion." Anyway, it turns out his son, I only found this out this year, his son created a YouTube clip of how to make sanitary towels. Okay?
Oh, okay. Yes, I saw the clip. Yes.
Absolutely. I have shared that clip so many times, so many times.
Yeah.
And again, this year, I discovered a young man, again in Uganda, but in fact, it's happened in many, many countries, many African countries, particularly, but also in India and so on. But Simon, in 2015, saw the clip and he started a workshop
Yeah.
to make the sanitary towels. Didn't ask me, didn't tell me. I knew nothing about it until this year when by chance I saw a post from him on Learn with Grandma Uganda. And so I got in touch. Now, I know we want to talk about my tree planting idea. He's come back with a message for me, which I was gobsmacked. He said, "Grandma, we've got another plan. We will plant a tree, but we want to name our new building." Note that they've created a new building because the old one isn't big enough anymore. They've created a new building and we want to name it after you.
Ooh. So
That's,
that's the Valerie.
no, I've asked them to call it Jaja Val's place because Jaja is Ugandan, I think it's Bugandan, for respected older person. And Jaja Val is kind of cozy, whereas they wouldn't know Valerie Wood-Gaiger from Adam.
No, probably a bit of a tongue twister for them as well, I
I
expect.
know, just like their names are for me.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, I saw the Jar Jar, which is JJA JJA. So even I'm glad you pronounced it for me because I didn't know how I was going to say it. Oh, so that's brilliant. So you got a farm named, is it a farm, I think, or a farm or a
Yes,
building of some kind
yes,
which is named after you? We see Grandma Microfinance Uganda sprung up as well.
yes. Now this again is Moses, totally unsupported by me. It was his own idea. Um, he did the Kawa project of promoting education for
Yeah.
teachers all over Uganda. And then he was offered a job, and I wrote him a very glowing reference to work for an American a charity, which he did for a few years. And there he was in charge of the IT in, I think, about 1,000 schools. I can't remember the exact number. Um, but he decided himself that he was going to leave there and wanted to start working more with Learn with Grandma, more with promoting the IT. And by the way, remember when I met him in 2014, he was a teacher living in a compound house, couldn't afford a car, and now he talks to ministers and he's got the ear of people that he never would have imagined he would meet. So
No.
he has got the funding for Learn with Grandma for microfinance. and it is very small at the moment, and it's only based in Uganda and only at the moment in a part of Uganda. So it's tiny, but from little acorns, oak trees.
Well, I mean, it's very concept is little, microfinance. Obviously, for those that don't know, microfinance is usually lending what to us is a very small amount of money, like it could be $20 or £20, whichever whichever you want to work in, to somebody just so they can buy the materials that so they can build a business up. And what they found with microfinance, I found very interesting, is that the payback rates far better than you get in the developed world, because these people are so so committed to what they want to do, whether it's starting a small business or just the smallest amount of money is all it takes to get them going, because they have nothing. Like we worry about putting our house on the market for starting our business, or on the on the line, so to speak. They can't. They got nothing. So I love that idea.
It's what it not only is it a good idea, it works, and we can prove it works.
Yes.
The same with creating making the sanitary towels. The same with all of the things that I suggest: affordable, achievable, sustainable.
Yes.
As I say, at my age, what's the point of doing things that are going to go on wanting funding forever, because I'm not going to be around?
No, and none of us really want, you don't really want to start anything that's not going to sustain itself. And I think it's quite interesting, because you obviously do a lot of posts surrounding the environment, but when we're talking sustainability here, we're talking about self-perpetuating, so it earns its crust, or it has enough funding, or it manages to sell a product or get a return so that it can continue forever. And not just it's sustainable, it's good for the planet, non-polluting, that kind of thing. So I think it's good to hear the two sides of sustainability, and why I was really keen to get you on the show. I love that. So we've mentioned that you've dropped in a couple of times, the tree planting, your 4th of July and Independence Day, as you alluded to. So your 8th year on the 4th of July 2022. Yes.
No, this year.
2021. Okay, yes. Sorry, my maths shot to
next month. Yes, I'm going to be.
So we are on the cusp of your 80th.
And it's what are you coming asking? Very rapidly.
It is. And by the looks of it, life started at 70 for you. So heavens only knows what's going to happen at 80.
No, I've had a cracking life.
Yeah.
And having.
And it's still fun, which is always the bit you like to throw in at the end there. So what are you asking people to do?
Well, I had this idea of asking people to plant trees because I don't know whether I'm going to have a party. I always have a party on my 0 year, and it's looking dodgy now. And I thought, I can't let 80 slink by with nothing. Really. And I wanted to do something that was affordable, achievable, and sustainable. And I didn't expect the response I'm getting. It's incredible that I told you about Jonah in Malawi. Did I tell you about Jonah in Malawi? Well, Jonah was the first. He said, we will have a planting day on your birthday. And then the grannies and the mums and the children are going to make cakes and food. Remember, Malawi is one of the poorer countries in the world.
And so it's had dreadful problems over there. I mean, they're awful, but they're going to throw a party on your honour.
They're going to throw a party on my birthday for them.
Yeah.
Not for me, for them. Yeah. But it's in my honour, yes. And I think that's beautiful. And then Simon, that I told you about with the workshop in Uganda, they're going to name that after me. I went to one of our local pubs that had an event in the garden, and it was a boat race, and when she'd finished giving the stories, the prizes out for the winners of the boat race, I said, now everybody's ready to listen. Will you all plant a tree for my birthday? And people were coming up and saying, yeah, we'll plant a tree, Val. And Mum was like, well, actually, I've got a tree. I need to plant it. I'll do it for your birthday now. You don't have to wait for my birthday. They can do it after my birthday. But I'm going to collect all the photos and the little stories if they give me a little story. And I will create an ebook with Moses' help. And he doesn't know about that yet.
Moses.
We'll create this little ebook so that it will go on showing that we can all do something. And what I put in the letter that I plan to send out is, if you can't plant a tree, plant something. Plant an idea that can help your community.
Plant an idea. That's really nice. And I mean, I think if nothing else, what you've proven to me is that if you're brave, you know, courageous to a certain extent, to go walk into the offices of UNESCO with an idea that you just thought of around the corner is kind of brave, in my book. And
It's stupid.
well, it wasn't stupid, wasn't it? It got you an invite to go talk and invited up to see the head of IT and education. You've got to be a bit brave, haven't you?
I've spoken in UNESCO 3 times now.
You're just showing off now, Val. So, I know you got an MBE and everything, but for crying out loud, you know, named farms, planting trees, you know, what was.
I think one of the things age gives you is it doesn't really matter if people listen or not, because you can just do it. I mean, I'm not hurting anybody.
No.
And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't work, oh, that's one of my granny sayings. If it doesn't work, try again. If that doesn't work, try a different route.
Yes. And yeah, but a good idea is worth more than one try, isn't it? And even if
got nothing else to do anyway.
Oh, get on. You sound like one of the busiest people I know, let alone one of the busiest septuagenarian you are at the moment, are you? You're an octogenarian soon. So it's brilliant. It's been brilliant running through all of that with you. And I feel we could probably talk for a long time. I asked you whether there was anything that, because obviously the tip that we're going to take away from us is on or around the 4th of July, or maybe thereafter, plant a tree and send you the photo. Join your groups on Facebook. Join the one that's near you. There is one in Wales. Is there one for the England? Ooh, yeah. I have to see if there's a Cornish
one.
UK. Okay, so UK will accept that. Even though we're in different countries, you and me, Cornwall and Wales. And share your thoughts and get involved with the community on Facebook. It's there to be enjoyed and be contributed to.
The other thing I would like to say to all your viewers is, if they'd like me to come and talk to their group, it's dead easy now, and it's free. We can do it like this.
Yeah. And you're definitely a good guest. I haven't had to struggle to squeeze any answers out of you. So, have you got a recommendation or something that people might like to go and have a look at? Something which is either inspiring or just enjoyable or educational? What would you suggest people go have a look at?
Well, I suppose Learn with Grandma International, because if they look at that, they'll see an awful lot of things that happen in different countries, and from there they can link them to their country. But also, it's not my group, it's their group. So if they have an idea, if they have a project, they can share that too. You see, anything, the Learn with Grandma aims are very wide. They are about caring for our people and our planet.
Yes.
So it's just about anything. The only people I don't want are scammers, liars, and thieves.
Yeah. Well, who wants them in the world at all, anyway?
We can't kill them, but I can try and keep them off my Facebook.
Persuade them that it's not worthwhile venture going forward. Yeah, that's lovely. And there are a lot of clips on there. Some of them, it's also very positive and it's lovely. And then you look at other ones. I looked at Austria, and there's somebody there reading books to children, and it's just like there was so much to look at. It was kind of where do I start? So it's been great to have that whistle stop tour about things that people can look at.
Oh,
So
before I go, can I just say one more thing of what I
of course
want?
you can.
My future plans.
Yeah.
80 is a bit of a facer, you know. 80 makes you realize that you're not going to live forever.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean, I'm not packing up. I'm not going anywhere. I am going to I give up on my deathbed, but it makes you realize you don't have 50, 60, 70 years ahead of you, you know. So what I want is I want to turn Learn with Grandma into an international foundation.
Okay.
It may sound ridiculous, but somebody starts these things. A vicar in Oxford started Oxfam. A man in Switzerland, I forgot his name for the minute, he started the Red Cross.
Yes.
Someone has an idea, and my idea is so simple. And actually, I like simple because simple usually works better than complicated. It does for me anyway. But the idea is that we can use this technology. We can use it to bring the generations together, to reunite us, so that you said earlier about the, not mistrust exactly, but the disconnect between the generations. And partly that's because we don't understand it. And a lot of us don't want to understand it. But a lot of us are using it now.
And can benefit from using it.
And can benefit from, and save money. I'll give you a little illustration. A boy, the young man got in touch with me and said, his son said, Dad, I got a puncture. And he said, oh, I'll fix it at the weekend. And he said, oh, it's okay, Gramps is going to do it. And he's going to show me how to do it. The same day, this Gramps went along to his son and said, I've decided to tax my car online. Will you just run me through it? So the first time, you see, that is intergenerational learning.
Yeah.
It isn't always about clever stuff. It's about simple life skills.
And it's not always, you know, because obviously you come with a wealth of knowledge and experience that you can share and people can learn from. But there's equally that the youth can teach you stuff. So it's a two-way journey. It's not always that granny knows best.
No.
Well, no, because you on many occasions are throwing yourself onto your son and ask them how do I, show me, and I know we're going to have a chat about how we get a nice mailing out soon. So yes, I think that's quite key, isn't it? Intergenerational learning is not a one-way event.
A young man wrote the other day on Facebook. He said, I've got 3 degrees, and it doesn't fit me for life. He said, my grand taught me how to lay a fire properly and how to grow vegetables. Those life skills are things that we mustn't lose. Those are what our generations and generations have survived on.
Yeah.
This is all new stuff, and it's brilliant, and I love it. But you still have to grow your veg. You still have to lay the fire. You have to learn how to do those simple, ordinary things, which if you are a college graduate and you've grown away, I actually had the college professor to stay a few years ago. And I said, I'll get the dinner cracking while you lay the fire. And I came out and she put the paper, the wood, and then the coal. No, sorry, she put the coal, the wood, and then the paper.
Okay, kind of thinking it would make its way down.
It don't work like that.
No, well, that's basic mechanics of fire. But it is. We aren't. Also, we're not teaching this kind of stuff in school. We don't teach children how to balance your checkbook, or how to apply for a mortgage. We don't teach them how to own a house. I mean, if you think about it, it's quite a thing. If people go and actually afford to buy a house nowadays, don't think about it. They've got to maintain it. Paint the windows. Okay, most people have got plastic windows now, but you know what I mean.
I don't own this house. I don't want to own a house again. I don't want
Well,
the responsibility.
that's fair enough. That's fair enough. And to be honest,
And anyway, I couldn't afford it now,
yeah,
the way the prices have gone. But that's another subject.
it is.
The most important thing I think about Learn with Grandma is that, as we've just been talking about, life skills, learning across the generations, showing your granny how to connect via YouTube, how to connect, how to find those things, how to find recipes, how to find the things. We had an event in the village hall a few years back, and I wanted it to be Welsh and English singing, and I don't know the Welsh songs because I'm a migrant, you know. I migrated from England to Wales, and I asked the local ladies, and they said, "Oh, we can't remember." So I said, "Give me the titles," and I got the titles, and then I found the songs in Welsh.
Yeah.
Can you find this on the internet?
Oh, she's now trying Welsh. Well, Val, it's been an absolute joy talking to you. I'm gonna, I won't submit you to fact or fake this time. We've filled our time with conversation, which I think is absolutely brilliant. So it's been an absolute joy speaking to you. I hope we get to speak again. I hope we get to help you in some way or another, and help the Learn with Grandma organization as it grows and grows and goes absolutely worldwide. What we want is 220 countries in the world.
Oh my giddy aunt, I can't cope.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine?
I can imagine, but I dare say I'll be long gone. But I want Learn with Grandma to not be forgotten. I can be forgotten. I've forgotten the name of the chap who started the Red Cross. It doesn't matter. What matters is that we go on and on teaching across the generations, because what people nowadays don't realize is that this technology will be old hat in a few years' time.
Yes.
Yeah. It is, each generation learns new tricks. My gran, when my dad put electricity in her cottage, she wouldn't have it upstairs because it was dangerous. She went to bed with a candle. My mum never learned to drive a car. You see, take my car away from me and I can't live here. There's no public transport whatsoever. So you see, each generation learns new tricks. What we have to do is make sure the old tricks that are so vital to our survival don't get forgotten.
Yeah, lovely. And that we enable the older generation as well on the way up and on the way down. I kind of get the Learn with Grandma, not learn from Grandma, which I think is probably the biggest lesson I've learned in our chat, but I've loved hearing the stories. Thank you very much, Valerie Wood-Gaiger MBE.
We really hope that you found this insight into another Better Business both informative and entertaining. So make sure you don't miss any of our other chats with other Better Businesses by subscribing to our podcast, available on all good providers, or on the Green Elephant YouTube channel. And please don't forget to spread the word with others. If you have any questions, comments or suggestions on the show, please do get in touch. You can email us studio@greenelephant.show, or visit our website greenelephant.show, or find us across social @greenelipod. Join us next time, and we hope you have a sustainable week.